Cotton City Radio came about through glorified therapy, basically. Personal circumstances over the last couple of years have been a bit shocking, and after one or two events at the start of the year, I just hit a bit of a breaking point or epiphany. I don't know how you'd describe it, but I was listening to commercial radio and thinking, getting the consistency I want, I'm hearing the tunes that I can rely on, but it's the same tunes, or it's the same artists, or it's the same records in high rotation. That's fine, it's dependable. It's your favourite pair of pants, you can slide into them and you know exactly how you're going to feel, but it doesn't quite scratch that itch.
Yeah.
I was listening to a lot of slightly more out there shows, like on Six Music, and again, scratches the right itch, gives you a load of different variety. Sometimes you kind of want to hear a loose theme, or you're thrown off after listening to a couple of soul records back to back, and then you're listening to Tibetan throat singing, and it's a bit like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
So the idea is, why not try it out? A friend of mine out in New Zealand was doing things with Mixcloud.com. They're an outfit called Radio Hysteric, or Just Hysteric. She gave me the nudge and said, give it a go. I think you'd do well. It's a fairly cheap setup to do it by yourself, as long as you've got the right software, the right gear, all that sort of stuff.
Did you go out and buy the gear yourself, or have you been doing this for a while?
I've got a bit of a history of podcasting. The problem with podcasting is, unless you can garner enough of a following early on, or hit on a topic that really speaks to people, it does become a bit of a self-indulgent exercise, so it kind of feels quite inward at times. And I don't know, there was just something missing, and the one thing I think that CCR does for me is it scratches that musical itch, and it's something that I'm super passionate about. So on the podcasting side, we're reviewing movies and doing that kind of film critique and that sort of stuff, which was which was really interesting, but it was more my partner's bag than it was mine. So Sammy, who I used to do that with, he was more on the film side, he wasn't on the music side. Ironically, unbelievable music knowledge there, so I kind of wish we'd have done this a year ago and got it off the ground a bit earlier. Anyway, it came to doing the show, and I thought, well, I want to find that perfect middle ground between breaking new artists but celebrating old classics, digging around the back of the closet and thinking, Christ, I've not heard this in years. CCR was born. Go was the obvious theme to start off our first show, because Go. And I think the first show is testament to the fact that there's tons of tracks across a really broad spectrum that all share that common DNA, so there's enough of a theme through the show to hold all the tracks together.
And I think that's the thing about music in general, isn't it? Like, I think a lot of people, because like you said, you listen to Radio 1, you listen to Radio 2, or more like Radio 1, all the big commercial stations, it's the same 90 tracks that are just recycled again and again and again and again, but people forget that effectively music is a creative process that many people from different cultures can take part in.
And artists bury their own tunes. So there's a big thing for me at the moment on newer artists who were cracking the scene a few years ago, your Blossoms and Catfish and the like, who've drowned themselves in their own releases, and they're prolific and they're producing stuff all the time, and the art of the album's working really well for them because they're building music end to end really well. The problem is, it's in such high rotation, it's pushed so much by commercial stations, and I'm thinking of your sort of Radio X's and Capitals and those kind of stations. You're burying gems that haven't become gems yet. So I don't know, there's the odd track that comes on, I don't know, on an evening show or something like that. Like, oh my god, that was their first album and it had a real kick to it, and we don't hear that anymore. And it's a really weird world where we're content obsessed. We want the newest, shiniest thing, but we also want to celebrate heritage and stopping power and that X factor that makes a track a classic. And we're losing a bit of that. Six Music goes a bit too far and throws things to the wind a bit, and you hear gems that you've not heard in a while, but then you lose a bit of that. Well, what's in higher rotation? What's in the charts? And I think there's something to be said for a mix of those two. I'm not saying we do it perfectly.
No,
it's kind
I
of the
think,
ethos that kind of drives.
yeah,
us.
you've got a very organic style, and what I found listening to your music is it can be sometimes very, very difficult to convince people to open up to new genres. I listen to pretty much a lot of all genres of music at any point. I listen to all genres, but your show has just got you know, the really, really catchy music that loads of people can associate with, and you're not scared of bounding yourself to one genre either. Do you want to? How was it? You select it through your what is it? Your brain? Is it your brain trust?
Right, so the Brain Trust does a lot of legwork. I'm not going to deny them that at all. Once behind the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a Brain Trust that sort of helps build playlists behind the scene. From that, I take a bit of a springboard and think, right, well, we're definitely featuring records A, B, and C here, and try and knit them together from my own knowledge or from other tracks that we've got from Brain Trust recommendations. It's really hard because there's no. I want it to be organic. I want it to be fresh. And I want it to have that feel that runs through it as well as a theme. So the thing with the playlist building is we kind of select the idea of the tracks that we want, or we select the tracks that we want, and try and knit them together in the same way that you build a DJ set, and make sure that there's some kind of flow and some kind of continuum from them.
Yeah.
It partly comes from the Brain Trust, it partly comes from a background in music recording and production.
Okay, so what did you do in music recording and production?
The usual amateur band stuff. I'm not going to hold my hands up and say I'm representing anyone big or I'm producing anything particularly great. But without those basic skills, I wouldn't have the wherewithal to do this in the first place. But there are certain things for me that a track tails off. You want to make sure it hooks in nicely to the next one, that there's some kind of flow and feel to it. There's nothing worse than listening to a playlist and having that jarring moment where you're like, what's coming on next? Or slamming the car into reverse and going in a completely different direction with the tunes you play. So
I can tell they're very well hand selected. I can tell they're very and also I think it's important from a radio show that you have that your music is progressed in such a way so you have those peaks and troughs and peaks and troughs, and you know, and some people don't understand that sometimes. And I think you nailed that really, really well. Because I think the guy who sat behind the camera, Pete, you. So I remember being in the office listening to it, and I just kept turning to Pete, and I was just like, banger, amazing.
We've gone in a more soulful direction, or we've gone in a more gritty and grime-led direction, or actually we're just going hard rock on this one. And without wanting to sound too wishy-washy, sometimes the playlist can take on a life of their own and go, no, actually, this is where we're going to go.
Yeah, exactly. Like you let the playlist determine where it wants to go, right? And that's a good thing, because you're not forcing it. You're not saying, right, you know, this playlist is going to be this. You just go for it naturally. You see how it adapts and evolves, and then. But that also gives you the flexibility to pretty much put out all kinds of different genres of music and everything that's going to be. Because I was really surprised. You know, I was listening to. I'm not a massive fan of hip hop. I do like some hip hop stuff. I know, right? And hip hop at the moment is massive. Like hip hop,
especially the Manchester scene.
Hip hop is huge at the moment. Like it's the biggest it's ever been. And the one thing that I found quite interesting is you had hip hop tunes in one of your it's either Drive or Go.
Hip hop's a great example because I think it's fair to say, we've either included it or have played a nod to it in most of the shows we've thrown out so far. Hip hop's a big one for me because I was bang in the middle of the Dre 2001 Eminem boom that got so many mainstream consumers into a world of hip hop that was quite insular and raging against the machine and fighting its own battles and problems. So I was just on the cusp of this commercialisation of hip hop, if you like, in a real meaningful and significant way. But that kind of passed me by. I've got all of the memories and I've got all the nostalgia of those tunes, and that, on reflection, is what makes me love them so much. It wasn't until probably 2008, 2009 when someone threw me a Jurassic 5 track. I'd never heard them before, but immediately hooked and gone, oh my god, there's so much DNA here from soul, there's so much DNA here from sort of old Motown records and jazz and R&B and all of these classic music genres were sort of crashed together in this track. And I thought, and they've got it's folk music to a beat. The lyricism's unbelievable, and the lyricism matches that.
So you can appreciate the sheer number and the sheer amount of gems and gold dust in music form that's out there that people do not listen. I mean, that's effectively what Cotton City is about, right? Is to bring that to the surface and allow people to listen to a show where, you know, if you've got, you know, if you're looking for that fresh palette of music, if you're looking for new artists to get into and things like that, it's giving them a voice. And there was one episode you were saying that you found someone on YouTube and reposted her music.
So I'm in love with her.
She was amazing. She was amazing, and the fact that, again, but without people like yourselves promoting them, right? Because that's effectively what we're about. The co-action is if people aren't, if you're not promoting them, then they don't stand a chance. And the problem is people think that even though they're talented, they don't think they stand a chance because it's too saturated.
Talent doesn't win out in the same way that it used to, and you do need an element of if not self-promotion, support from other people. Now, Orla Gartland's a brilliant example. She is a wonderful artist and unbelievably talented. She moved to London, fell on her face, went back to Dublin, regathered herself, built her allies around her musically, and just kept churning out content. It was high quality content. It was raw. It was filled with passion. There was meaning behind it, and that's what hooked me. She, of all places I came across her, falling down a YouTube video or Facebook video K-hole like you do, where you're just like, yeah, whatever, next one, 2 minutes of my life, fine.
I've been there.
Half an hour later, you're 30 videos deep, and you think, what am I getting to now? And she was doing an acoustic cover in a park on the Pokemon theme tune, and I thought, this is actually pretty special.
Solid, yeah.
It's daft. It was a laugh. It was a mess around. It was a throwback to childhood and watching TV back then. But it was enough to hook me.
Yeah.
Selfishly, to me, the more I shout about Orla Gartland, the more we feature her on the show, the more we throw out a video. She released a new video for I Go Crazy not too long ago. The more she promotes shows, the more we promote shows rather, the more she records, the more she tours, the more she throws out.
By helping each other and working together with aligned interests, you can get a situation where everybody wins, right? Because effectively, you promoting her means she gets to do what she loves. And then you get to show off this gold to your community and say, look, you know, that's the amazing thing. And that's why I think it's a very like collaborative process, and it's got to be collaborative. I think there's a lot of people out there that think that you can make it on your own back, and I went through that mistake myself.
If you're that lucky, you can.
But it does require. But I think working with other people. And I find it really interesting because I'm a producer myself, and I make quite strange types of music. I make kind of like cinematic orchestral with electronic kind of thing.
We'll get you in with Tom T. You'll be right.
Yeah. So I'm really into that stuff. But I think I forgot that there are other people out there like that, right? But when you find them, and when you find the people that connect with you, connect with your music, and understand you, that's where the real force comes from. Because then I think it's weird because not seeing it before, would you admit, like it's quite mad when you kind of open your eyes up to the idea of collaboration and working with other people and things like that. It's
bonkers. So, as I said, one of the people who gave me a nudge to do this in the first place, Charlie from Hysteric, they're based out of Waiheke Island in New Zealand. They've got a significant following over there, and obviously some people from back home that follow her as well. That in turn has helped me grow a following in New Zealand, in Australia, in Southeast Asia. We've got family and friends who, through travelling or living over there, we've got followings that are growing in the western coast of the States or in New York, in Canada. It's mad, but it's organic, and it's it's happening because it's happening. There's no, I'm not forcing it. I'm not overly pushing it or promoting it in a commercial or paid for way.
Yeah.
I'm kind of keeping content regular. I'm pushing it out there. I'm seeing what sticks. I'm asking for recommendations from friends and that kind of thing. And it's growing organically. With that, the music that we're featuring is quite organic, and it's music that either myself or the Brain Trust have come across, and yeah, I think that just helps with an authenticity and an organicness without any time at home that word, which really, really works for Cotton City Radio, but also helps build relationships that A, last, and B, feel real, or feel as real as they are. So in
like
which
you
case
can't,
you're not buying into an instance
you don't want a business relationship where it's just, you know, you're effectively, because if you've got a relationship where you're just going to someone and saying, right, you know, I'll do this for you and you'll do this, so there's no connection, right? But if you go to someone and you understand what they're trying to do, and you understand their goals and their motives, and you want to support them in that, you build proper relationships with people, and then that's when the really exciting stuff happens, right? And that's when, you know, either collaborative opportunities and things like that, you know, arise. And I think what I love so much about you guys is the fact that you've got so many radio stations that will put out the typical stuff that people are going to want to listen to, you know, the commercial stuff, the top chart stuff, because it's easy, right? But you're like, you know, we will go, even though it's in, and I think that's really, really unique.
And we'll put out some of that as well. So if you look to our, I'm going to spoil it because there's a pre-recorded show coming up, but there's a track that we featured from a chart artist. Reimagined by someone who is a less heard of singer-songwriter who's cracking the scene in a different way. Opportunities to do that and say, here's the song you love, have you heard it this way? Or here's the song you love, have you heard it by this artist? We'll still throw in classics, we'll still throw in the Rolling Stones, we'll still throw in Biffy Clyro's someone that I push a lot because I've known them from very, very early on in their musical career. But at the same time, side by side to that track, because you're doing this theme association thing all the way through, you're going, well, have you thought about how that relates to this track, or have you thought about how they might have inspired so-and-so? And that's really special when we talk about the DNA of the tracks we play on Cotton City Radio. There's a lot that ties together the tracks we use in terms of their DNA. Outside of just the sort of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon word association thing that we do with things like Serve and Return. But you see at the end of shows like Serve and Return, or shows like the Core Show that we throw out, you're listening to a melting pot of 16 tracks. But on reflection, you sat there and you don't feel like you've been taken on this really jarring, ping-ponging all over the place journey. You actually feel like you've been carried through fairly straightforward playlist. It's nothing that makes it we're here now. It's interesting, but I think that's what makes it work. I genuinely think that's what makes it work.